Friends, thank you for being here today. Right now, somewhere near you, someone is quietly filling their garage with items that most people will not even think about buying until it is already tragically too late. And when you finish watching this presentation, you are going to understand exactly why they're doing it, and you're going to desperately wish you had started yesterday morning. Just as the mainstream media confidently claimed inflation was cooling, consumer prices spiked violently in March. The conflict in the Middle East sent energy costs soaring, pushing the inflation rate to 3.3% for the 12 months ending March 2026. This is up from the 2.4% year-over-year increase we saw in February, according to the very latest figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But here's the macroeconomic reality that most news stations are actively hiding from you, wrapping it in political theater to keep you distracted. Even though on April 17, 2026, the Strait of Hormuz was announced as officially reopened, the relief is not arriving at your fuel pump or your local grocery store tomorrow. It is an illusion of recovery. Global supply chains are deeply, perhaps permanently fractured, and these cascading economic effects do not disappear overnight. Even with maritime traffic resuming through Hormuz, it will take agonizing time for tankers to reach refineries, for fuel to be processed, and for depleted stocks to be replenished at major distribution hubs. Industry observers are clearly warning that the supply chain could take several weeks, if not months, to fully normalize, if it ever truly does. We are looking at a very specific and rapidly closing window where prices on essential items are going to keep climbing before they even have a chance to ease. What I am warning you about today is not just temporary, cyclical inflation. It is a structural wealth transfer. It is a deliberate devaluation of your fiat purchasing power. Please understand that everything I share here is strictly for analytical purposes. It is not financial advice, but rather a stark, data-driven warning to protect your household economy before the system forces you to pay the ultimate price for inaction. To begin building this impenetrable defense, there is something you must immediately secure: a true lithium battery-powered solar station capable of running your most essential household appliances. Utilities and monthly electricity charges were already surging in 2025, and the Energy Information Administration projects wholesale electricity prices reaching a staggering $51 per megawatt hour in 2026. This is an 8.5% increase compared to the prior year. This spike is driven by higher natural gas prices, booming domestic demand, and massive power-hungry data centers putting unprecedented, dangerous strains on our aging, crumbling power grid. A heavy-duty solar generator, like the EcoFlow Delta Pro or the Jackery Explorer series, insulates you from these rising electricity bills today, and it protects you completely during the inevitable grid failures of tomorrow. These units can store anywhere from 1 kWh to 5 kW of power, which is enough to run a refrigerator, keep your medical devices like CPAP machines online, and maintain your standard of living while your neighbors are cast back into the 19th century. While a large solar generator handles your home, you must also secure its highly mobile counterpart: a portable, folding solar panel combined with a high-capacity power bank. You must have the ability to maintain communication lines when you're forced to move or when the main grid is compromised for extended periods. Brands like Anchor Big Blue and Goal Zero manufacture panels that fold to the size of a thick book, but open to deliver 60 to 100 watts of charging power. This means infinite grid-independent power for your phones, radios, and GPS devices, costing you absolutely nothing after the initial purchase. In a world where information is survival, losing power to your devices is not an inconvenience. It is a fatal blind spot. Moving to the most fundamental biological need, we find a vulnerability where the majority of citizens catastrophically underinvest: water filtration. Municipal water systems are incredibly fragile, and history has proven that assuming clean tap water will always flow is a dangerous miscalculation. For personal use, you need solutions like the Life Straw, which removes 99.9% of bacteria, parasites, and microplastics without relying on batteries or moving parts, but you must layer that baseline protection. The next step up is a gravity-fed ceramic or hollow fiber countertop filter, like the Berkey system or the Sawyer squeeze. These powerhouse systems can process several gallons of contaminated water per hour without a single watt of electricity. You must build layered redundancy, adding a UV purifier and purification tablets to cover every possible contamination scenario. But filtration is useless without the foundation that makes it possible: water storage itself. Having the capacity to store water before a disruption occurs is the single fastest, most effective way to protect your household in the vital first 72 hours of any crisis. Food-grade, BPA-free water barrels ranging from 5 to 55 gallons are still available and relatively affordable right now. But hear me clearly. Every single day you wait, geopolitical tariffs and massive supply chain pressures are nudging those prices upward. The time to acquire these is right now, today, not during a systemic crisis when store shelves will be stripped bare within hours of a panic broadcast. Connecting directly to the ongoing geopolitical shockwaves originating from the Iran conflict, you must secure a quality manual hand pump for any heating oil, diesel, or fuel storage tank you plan to maintain at home. The ripple effect of oil prices goes far beyond fuel. It dictates the cost of literally everything that moves on a truck. When fuel prices inevitably fluctuate, having the ability to store your own supply and, crucially, pump it without relying on the electric grid could save your household hundreds of dollars a year. It grants you autonomy in a highly volatile energy market. This brings us to a sector where the macroeconomic data becomes truly alarming. You must urgently acquire a 30-day or 90-day supply of freeze-dried food from reputable brands. This is not fear-mongering. This is basic mathematics combined with verified economic data. In 2026, overall food prices are predicted to rise by 3.6%, and I must stress that this figure was calculated before the full, devastating impact of the Iran conflict on global fertilizer and energy costs was priced into the market. Grocery inflation is a silent tax that steals your labor. Food stores purchased at today's prices are worth significantly more in real purchasing power than fiat currency sitting in a bank account losing value by the minute. Freeze-dryer technology, like the Harvest Right systems, allows you to store food for 25 years with nutrients intact. It is a transformational investment that locks in today's food prices for a quarter of a century. I want to pause right here and ask for your ground-level intelligence. Go down to the comments right now and tell me, what is the single grocery item that has shocked you the most with its recent price increase? The government relies on manipulated statistics to hide inflation, but your local reports from the grocery aisles are the real data we need. Share what you're seeing in your city down in the comments below. Working seamlessly in tandem with freeze-dried goods is a powerfully strategic bulk dry goods stockpile. I'm talking about rice, oats, dried lentils, pasta, beans, and whole wheat, meticulously stored in sealed Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers inside food-grade 5-gallon buckets. These calorie-dense staples store safely for 10 to 25 years. I want you to look at your grocery receipts from 3 years ago. Now project that forward. Every price increase in the grocery aisles means the supply you secured earlier multiplies in its real-world value. For true economic resilience, your priority must be calorie-dense staples that provide a long shelf life and nutritional completeness. Closely related, but requiring its own specific focus, is cooking oil. The reason this must be categorized separately is that oil is both a highly calorie-dense survival food and one of the specific commodities whose price is most tightly tethered to the fuel and fertilizer cost cycle that the current Middle East crisis has just supercharged. Olive oil, canola oil, and coconut oil are absolute necessities for cooking, baking, and basic caloric intake. When the cost of diesel rises, the cost to harvest, process, and transport these oils skyrockets. Lock your supply in now. When the systems go dark, your physical survival will depend on your situational awareness. To maintain this, a multi-powered emergency weather radio that runs on solar, hand crank, and DC input simultaneously is absolutely vital. When cell towers lose their backup generators and the internet connections fail, a hand crank radio becomes your absolute lifeline for critical information. Just 1 minute of cranking yields roughly 10 to 15 minutes of radio and flashlight runtime. It is the single piece of equipment that seasoned survivalists recommend most consistently because it keeps you informed, powered, and connected when the digital illusion fades. To take your communication network a massive step further, you must secure a two-way ham radio or a general mobile radio service, GMRS device. When localized disasters strike and cell networks inevitably saturate and fail, you must be able to coordinate with neighbors, family members, and emergency services. A powerful handheld radio, like the Baofeng UV5R Pro, provides 128 programmable channels and dual-band frequency for extended range. The ability to broadcast and receive over a 5 to 10 mile radius without relying on corporate telecom infrastructure is an incredible tactical advantage. Out on the road, a vehicle battery jump starter and portable power unit might seem like a mere convenience, but let me paint a very real picture for you. During fuel crises and grid-down scenarios, being stranded because of a dead car battery with no roadside assistance available is not an inconvenience. It is genuinely dangerous. In a disaster evacuation, a dead battery can turn lethal fast. You cannot rely on a friendly stranger or a stressed municipal system. A compact jump starter delivering 20,000 milliamp hours of reserve power, rated for large gas and diesel engines, is pure self-reliance you can hold in your hand. Back inside the home, do not overlook the extreme life-saving utility of a reliable, high-quality manual can opener. It sounds absurdly simple, but during extended power outages, thousands of people discover to their absolute horror that their entire painstakingly gathered canned food stockpile is sealed behind metal lids they cannot breach. If your food storage includes canned goods, a manual can opener is absolutely non-negotiable. Without electricity, your fancy electric kitchen tools are just useless, expensive pieces of countertop decoration. The true backbone of off-grid culinary survival is a cast iron cooking set, specifically a 12-inch skillet and a 5-quart Dutch oven. Cast iron works flawlessly on gas stove tops, wood fires, camp stoves, and open roaring flames outdoors. It distributes heat evenly, retains it longer than any modern material, and it lasts effectively forever. It requires zero electricity, and unlike toxic non-stick pans, it actually improves with age. It is a generational asset. But cast iron requires heat. To provide the fuel for that cooking, you must stockpile compact butane or propane camp stoves, along with a massive, meaningful fuel canister reserve. A beautifully crafted stove with no fuel is just a cold piece of steel. Butane canisters bought today will absolutely not be cheaper 6 months from now. Having solid fuel stoves, alongside propane or hexamine tablets, guarantees that you can prepare food safely and boil water regardless of what happens to the municipal natural gas supply lines. Shifting our focus to the stark reality of the American healthcare system, you must build a comprehensive, trauma-capable first aid kit. I'm not talking about a plastic box with 3 bandages and a useless leaflet. I'm talking about tourniquets, hemostatic gauze, Israeli bandages, antiseptics, and suture strips. The overall cost of healthcare in America is expected to rise by 6 to 7% in 2026. Getting basic medical care is becoming a luxury. Self-reliant medical preparedness is no longer paranoia. It is basic financial protection against a system designed to bankrupt you. Alongside trauma care, a 90-day stockpile of the prescription medications and over-the-counter essentials your household depends on is critical. Pay very close attention here. The supply chain disruptions caused by the Hormuz closure and the skyrocketing energy costs are rippling violently through pharmaceutical logistics right now. The majority of active pharmaceutical ingredients are manufactured overseas. A disruption in shipping lanes means a disruption in your life-saving medication. Creating this buffer is perhaps the most personally critical action you can take. We must also address a silent killer in long-term crisis scenarios: malnutrition. You must secure multivitamins and electrolyte supplements. Your food stockpile keeps you fed, but it does not automatically give you the optimal nutrients your body needs to fight off infection and maintain stamina. Canned foods and bulk staples provide calories, but vital nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin A, and the B vitamin complex slowly degrade during the preservation process. You must bridge this nutritional gap to prevent fatigue, weakened immunity, and a general decline in health over weeks and months of relying on stored foods. When the grid fails in the dead of winter, the right thermal gear will literally save your life. You need emergency Mylar thermal blankets and a set of sub-zero rated sleeping bags. These are lightweight, space-efficient, and engineered to retain 90% of your body heat, even in the most brutal extreme cold. If the natural gas stops flowing and the electricity is cut, your home will turn into an icebox within 48 hours. Good quality sleeping bags are non-negotiable for preserving your core body temperature when the modern heating infrastructure collapses. Looking beyond immediate threats shifts the paradigm from short-term survival to multi-generational wealth and true independence. I'm talking about heirloom, non-GMO vegetable seeds stored in vacuum-sealed packaging. Seeds are one of the most compact, high-leverage economic assets you can own when global food prices are rising perpetually. Unlike corporate, patented hybrid seeds that terminate after one generation, heirloom varieties can be saved from each harvest and replanted indefinitely. One single purchase becomes a perpetual sovereign food source. Investing in these seeds, alongside compost and raised beds, creates a future-proof food supply completely independent of the collapsing global supply chain. To further cement that independence, you must leverage the environment to your advantage with a water barrel rainwater collection system. Before you dismiss this as excessive, understand that rainwater harvesting is a legally sanctioned, incredibly effective method of building total water independence. A 250 to 500 liter food-grade barrel fitted with a diverter kit from your roof can collect enough rainfall from a single modest storm to supply a family of 4 with non-potable water for an entire week. This is water you can use for sanitation, gardening, and with your previously mentioned filtration systems, safe drinking water. In the kitchen, an often overlooked necessity is the hand-powered grain mill. This is an item your great-grandparents relied upon, and modern society has foolishly forgotten. The data is clear. Beef and veal prices increased dramatically, up 14.4% year over year entering 2026. As protein from animal sources becomes a luxury restricted to the wealthy elite, plant-based whole grains become an ever more important caloric foundation for the working class. Storing whole wheat berries gives you a 25-year shelf life. A hand crank mill, like the Country Living Grain Mill, lets you convert those berries into fresh flour on demand, with absolutely zero electricity. For outdoor preparation, A masterpiece of efficiency is the propane or wood-burning rocket stove. Developed by organizations like the Aprovecho Research Center, rocket stoves use insulated combustion chambers to direct airflow, allowing small pieces of wood to combust almost completely. This reduces fuel consumption by up to 75% compared to a traditional open fire. In a scenario where fuel must be carefully rationed, the ability to cook 3 full, hot meals from a small bundle of sticks that would barely last 10 minutes on a campfire is an extraordinary tactical advantage. Another staple that goes far beyond basic seasoning is a massive stockpile of quality salt. It sounds laughably simple, but salt performs 3 irreplaceable functions in a fractured economy. First, it preserves meat and vegetables through the ancient, grid-independent method of salt curing. Second, it is a universal flavor enhancer that prevents appetite fatigue when consuming repetitive stockpile foods. Third, and most importantly, it is a proven barter commodity that has historically held intrinsic value during severe economic depressions. If the grid goes down, your ability to preserve food with salt alone makes it a multifunction survival commodity that stores indefinitely. This next essential surprises people, but the science is undeniable. You must store honey in large quantities. Raw honey has an effectively indefinite shelf life. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible. But beyond calories, honey has documented powerful antimicrobial properties. Studies from the Waikato Honey Research Unit show that raw, unfiltered honey inhibits a wide range of dangerous bacteria, including staph and E. coli. It is a genuine first aid item for wound treatment in environments where antibiotics are unavailable, serving as a medicine, a sweetener, and a pure energy source all in one jar. When darkness falls, a high-quality headlamp with rechargeable lithium batteries feels minor, until you spend the third night of a total power outage stumbling in the dark because every cheap alkaline flashlight battery you own is dead. In an emergency, whether you are administering first aid, repairing a window, or navigating a dark stairwell, being hands-free is crucial. A headlamp provides essential targeted illumination while keeping both of your hands completely free to do the work that survival demands. Scaling this illumination to the household level, you must procure solar-powered outdoor and indoor lights. These units can be placed on windowsills during the daylight hours to absorb the sun and then brought inside to serve as ambient room lights at night. They offer absolutely zero ongoing operational costs and zero grid dependence. They provide a massive psychological boost by maintaining a sense of normalcy and gentle illumination around your home during extended outages that drag on for days or weeks. For maintaining your stronghold, the multi-tool, specifically robust models like the Leatherman Signal or the Victorinox Swiss Tool, is indispensable. I want you to view this not as a tool, but as an economic superpower. When supply chains tighten, when replacement parts are stuck on cargo ships, and when professional labor becomes too expensive to hire, your ability to repair, modify, and improvise using what you already have is what will keep your household functioning. A good multi-tool puts pliers, wire cutters, saws, files, and screwdrivers right into the palm of your hand. Complementing your tools, a heavy supply of duct tape and heavy-duty paracord are absolute necessities. Do not treat these as afterthoughts. These are genuine structural tools required for improvised shelter repair, lashing together broken structural elements, reinforcing window coverings against extreme weather, and executing dozens of minor repairs that would otherwise require expensive, currently unavailable professional help. They are the ultimate fix-all materials for a world where you can no longer simply order a replacement on Amazon. Navigational readiness exposes a massive, almost invisible vulnerability in the modern psyche. You must own a physical map collection of your local area and surrounding regions, paired with an analog compass. In an era where everyone trusts digital GPS without question, we have forgotten that GPS signals can be easily jammed, degraded, or spoofed during the exact geopolitical conflicts we are witnessing today. And when the digital infrastructure is compromised by state actors or satellite failures, a physical map is your only reliable method for navigation, evacuation, and understanding your environment. To keep all your small electronics alive, a massive cache of rechargeable batteries paired with a quality solar-powered battery charger is mandatory. In any extended outage, the household that has a sustainable way to keep AA and AAA batteries topped up is the household that keeps their radios listening, their flashlights burning, and their small medical equipment functioning while everyone else descends into silence and darkness. It represents one of the most cost-effective, practical investments for localized energy independence, paying for itself after just a few recharge cycles. Because fire is life, a redundant, multi-layered fire-starting kit is non-negotiable. It means warmth, it means cooked food, it means the ability to purify water through boiling, and it serves as a psychological anchor in the dark. You must stockpile waterproof matches, butane lighters, reliable ferro rods with strikers, and dry tinder sealed in watertight containers. Having multiple methods ensures that you are never, under any circumstance, completely without the ability to create fire, regardless of which specific modern tool fails you. When utilizing these tools, a set of heavy-duty, cut-resistant leather or Kevlar-reinforced work gloves is paramount. The reason this belongs on a macroeconomic preparation list is direct and brutal. When you cannot afford to hire help for physical repairs, yard clearing, firewood processing, or emergency disaster cleanup, you will be forced to do it yourself. A severe hand injury in a stretched economic environment where hospitals are overrun or too expensive is one of the most financially devastating things that can happen to a working adult. Protect your primary instruments of survival, your hands. Moving from pure physical survival to intellectual resilience, you must curate a library of physical books covering practical hard skills. I'm talking about a comprehensive first aid and wilderness medicine manual, a food preservation and canning guide, a basic home repair handbook, and an exhaustive gardening reference. When the grid is down, when Google is inaccessible, you will not be able to look up a tutorial on how to treat an infected wound or fix a ruptured pipe. A physical book on your shelf is a permanent downloaded database of human knowledge that requires zero electricity to access. Finally, we arrive at the ultimate hedge against the orchestrated destruction of your fiat currency and the rapidly shifting global power dynamics. You must hold physical silver coins, or small gold fractional coins, physically at home in a high-quality, fireproof and waterproof safe securely bolted to your structure. Look at the data. Look at the printing presses. In inflationary and hyperinflationary scenarios, fiat currency rapidly loses its purchasing power, while physical, tangible hard assets maintain it. The system is designed to steal your wealth through inflation. Institutions and central banks are hoarding gold at record levels while telling you the economy is fine. Do not listen to their words. Watch their actions. A modest holding of precious metals represents real, undeniable wealth that cannot be printed away, cannot be inflated away, and cannot be canceled by a cascading banking failure. 20 to 50 ounces of physical silver is a highly practical starting framework for localized barter and transaction use when digital payment systems freeze. We must pause here to address a fundamentally dangerous illusion that has paralyzed the American middle class. The illusion of the digital economy. For the past 3 decades, we have been systematically sold the concept of convenience as the ultimate luxury. We were actively encouraged to trade physical ownership for digital access. We traded robust, fully stocked pantries for just-in-time grocery delivery apps. We traded physical cash for digital digits on a glowing banking screen. We traded physical reference libraries for cloud-based search engines. This was not an accident. It was a multi-generational psychological conditioning process designed to make the populace completely, irrevocably dependent on a fragile, highly centralized grid. And right now, as we navigate the turbulent economic waters of 2026, that very grid is being weaponized against you. Look closely at how the smartest institutional money in the world is maneuvering right now, while the mainstream media simultaneously tells retail consumers to simply remain calm and keep spending. Central banks around the globe are quietly acquiring physical gold at a frantic pace not seen since the dawn of the Second World War. Massive trillion-dollar hedge funds are aggressively buying up prime, water-rich farmland across the American Midwest and hoarding vital commodities. The people who actually control the financial plumbing of this world are desperately converting their digital fiat currency into hard, tangible physical assets. Yet, what is the soothing advice broadcasted into your living room every single evening? They tell you to keep your money trapped in their system. They tell you to trust their digital ledgers. They tell you that preparing for severe supply chain failures is just unfounded paranoia. This is the core mechanism of the structural wealth transfer I warned you about at the beginning of this presentation. Inflation is not just a byproduct of clumsy monetary policy or overseas conflicts. It is a highly effective, deeply regressive silent tax. It is designed to legally confiscate your purchasing power without ever requiring legislative approval or a public vote. When the cost of diesel fuel rises by 20%, the numbers in your retirement account do not change, but the actual physical yield of what those numbers can purchase completely evaporates. You are being drained of the value of your life's labor, slowly and invisibly, while you stare at a banking app that falsely reassures you your balance is stable. Furthermore, the fragility of this digital illusion is absolutely staggering. We are rapidly entering an era of unprecedented cyber vulnerability. When major geopolitical tensions escalate, as they are doing exponentially right now, the absolute first casualty is rarely physical infrastructure. It is digital infrastructure. A targeted, state-sponsored cyber event disrupting regional banking nodes, freezing credit card networks, or halting payment processing gateways for even 72 hours would plunge an unprepared, digitally dependent community into absolute chaos. I have a vital question for everyone watching right now. Have you personally experienced a localized banking glitch, a sudden card network failure, or an unexplained temporary freeze on your digital accounts recently? Drop a comment below and share your experience. The more we document these so-called glitches, the better we understand the true fragility of their system. Let us know what you have seen. If your entire life's net worth is trapped behind a digital firewall that you suddenly cannot access, and you have zero physical assets to barter, no water to drink, and no food to feed your family, your digital net worth is functionally zero. You are instantly impoverished. This is precisely why the transition to physical, tangible assets is not just a basic preparedness strategy. It is a profound declaration of personal financial sovereignty. The coming months will ruthlessly divide society into two distinct groups: the dependent class, who will wait in lines hoping the system reboots, and the sovereign class, who saw the warnings and built their own lifeboats. Every sealed bag of rice, every fractional ounce of silver, every gallon of purified water, and every solar panel you secure is a direct, measurable rejection of their fragile system. It is a tangible piece of wealth that simply cannot be deleted by a server crash, frozen by a banking algorithm, or inflated into worthlessness by a central bank's runaway printing press. You must internalize the golden rule of this new, unforgiving economic era. If you do not physically hold it in your hands or protect it within the walls of your own home, you do not truly own it. You are merely leasing it from a system that can and will revoke your access the moment it serves their interests. Friends, here is the critical, unifying truth you must understand about every single one of these preparations. This is not about fear. It is about absolute freedom. Every single asset we've discussed transfers economic leverage from a highly stressed, corrupt, and fragile geopolitical system directly back into your hands. The macroeconomic data supporting this stress is real, it is current, and it is not going away to accommodate your comfort. Retirees on fixed incomes and the working class are feeling the brutal sting of these rising prices right now. They are facing disproportionate pressure that the wealthy elite can easily absorb, but that the average citizen cannot. The gap between a prepared household and an unprepared one is no longer just measured in hypothetical apocalypse scenarios. It is measured right now in your monthly savings, in reduced daily stress, and in the quiet, unshakable confidence of knowing you are not just one supply chain shock away from total ruin. When you are properly positioned, something profound happens to your psychology. The anxiety that normally floods your chest every time you see a headline about the Middle East, or rising energy costs, or port strikes, simply disappears. Because you have already made your move, you have opted out of their fragile system. The news simply becomes data rather than a source of panic. The disruptions to global supply chains, the empty inventories, and the shattered market confidence have already propagated through the global economy. The damage is done. The future of your household economy will absolutely not be saved by politicians arguing on television or central banks moving fast enough. It will be determined entirely by the aggressive, calculated decisions that you, as an individual, make right now in April 2026. Before the next devastating wave of economic pressure crushes the unprepared. Before you leave this video, I want you to make a commitment to yourself and to this community. Go down to the comments right now and tell me exactly which one of these physical assets you are prioritizing this week. Put it in writing, hold yourself accountable, and let's continue to build a network of sovereign, prepared households. You have the data, you have the knowledge, and you have a rapidly closing window of opportunity. Take command of your household economy right now, and do not wait for a failing system to save you.